There's a lot of buzz going around the internet right now about the metaverse and what a big deal this could be for, the internet, blockchain technology, cryptocurrency over the next coming months and years. A lot of people are talking about how this is a massive trend and a huge game changer. But what exactly is the metaverse? Why is it such a big deal? What are people using it for? Well, that's what I'm going to talk about in this video today as a blockchain developer who works this technology on a daily basis. So before we get into that, if you're new around here, hey, I'm Gregory, and on this channel, I turn you into a blockchain master. So if that's something that you're interested in, then smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm and subscribe to this channel. And if you want to learn how to master blockchain step by step, start to finish, then head on over to dappuniversity.com/bootcamp to get started today. So there's a ton of buzz going around right now about the metaverse. And one of the big reasons of this is Facebook has actually rebranded itself to be called Meta to focus on the metaverse. So what do I mean by that? Well, we saw news about this early this year. I was making, videos about this on my channel. How Mark Zuckerberg was saying that they were going to pivot the vision of Facebook itself from a social media company to a metaverse company long term. And after several months, that actually came true. And we just saw a keynote come out recently where Facebook announced this change. Now, just for clarification, when I say Facebook has changed its name to Meta, it's the parent company that owns the Facebook social media app that you use. So if you're using like Facebook, the app, it should still be called Facebook. But the parent company that owns, Facebook, Oculus, Instagram, that's being rebranded to Meta to focus on the metaverse. And so that's a pretty significant deal. Okay, because Facebook is a massive giant, and they decided they're going to completely scrap their old strategy and start focusing on this, then I would personally be paying attention to that technology. And I think this change is actually a pretty big reason why we've seen crypto markets continue to do well. I think investors are trying to allocate capital in areas where there's activity and more use cases, and now as metaverse has come into the equation, it's another reason why people will be using blockchains in the first place. All right, so with all that being said, what is the metaverse? Well, you can think about it as an embodied internet, all right? So a next generation of your internet experience that you see today, okay? So you can think about, internet that you see now where maybe you're using this video like on a website like YouTube, maybe in an app, or you get on social media, you use an e-commerce site, whatever. Well, the internet is really a 2D experience, all right? But in the metaverse, this takes it to a 3-dimensional experience. So you can think about technologies like virtual reality, maybe where you have a headset on and you're fully immersed in a different world, or augmented reality where you can actually see the world around you, but then you bring some sort of digital experience to the physical world around you that you can see and hear. Now, you might say, well, we already have that stuff right now. What's that got to do with the metaverse? Well, the real critical change here is that the metaverse is actually a different space altogether that's not controlled by any central company. And this is what's made possible by blockchain technology. This is the missing link that makes an open internet where you can do things like, own property or own digital assets that aren't under anybody's central control, but you can actually take these things and move them around and transfer ownership freely inside this embodied internet experience. And so really this is a continuation of also what's called Web 3.0. So you might have heard this as a trend in and of itself. So Web 3.0 is the next generation of the internet, things like moving from Web 1.0 to 2.0 to 3.0. Metaverse actually is a subset of Web 3.0. Just like, mobile was a subset of Web 2.0. It's just a new way to experience the internet, but the fundamental value proposition of Web 3.0 is an open and decentralized internet powered by blockchains, and you get that with Metaverse. All right, so let's actually go over some concrete examples of what the metaverse might look like. This is a brand new technology and we're just scratching the surface for what's even possible. So nobody really knows for sure the extent to which we're going to actually create things and use things in the metaverse. But let's look at some examples that you could do now and how it would work. Okay, so one really simple example is just virtual worlds and everything you can do inside virtual worlds. Okay, so one project that's focusing on this is Decentraland. They're a project that's been around for quite some time. Okay, so a virtual world is kind of a fundamental characteristic of an embodied internet because there's so much that you can do inside of it. You can own land inside the metaverse, okay? This is powered by NFT technology or non-fungible tokens where basically, the NFT just represents digital real estate. Of course, this could be applied to physical real estate on down the road insofar as we get regulations that actually allow for that type of thing. But virtual worlds are one of the first ways that we could actually make real use cases with metaverse. And right now we're seeing a simple buying and selling of land, doing things inside the metaverse worlds, maybe like displaying your NFTs inside an art gallery. And those are really just some beginning use cases that show what's, possible with technology, almost like a proof of concept. And some people won't even take this seriously because they say hey, who really cares? Why do I want to just buy some NFTs and some land inside some big global internet video game? Well, you kind of have to turn that thinking upside down because that's what a lot of early blockchain technology looked like. I mean, and also early internet technology. Almost all new technology looks kind of like a toy, but you have to learn how to see what the future potential is here. Because trust me, I was around in 2017 when DeFi and NFTs were really just a concept inside people's heads, and now they've exploded to the massive trends that they are today and aren't going to slow down anytime soon. And so you have to see the same type of thing with Metaverse, okay? So just because you can buy land and like look at NFTs inside art galleries right now, these virtual worlds can get better where you could actually do things and, be yourself inside of a Metaverse virtual world. So for example, what if you could, take calls inside of a Metaverse, like, actually meet people, interact with them, to where like instead of seeing somebody on a Zoom call, you could actually have some sort of 3D experience with that person, inside the Metaverse. Or what if you could do it where you could basically choose your own physical appearance in the Metaverse? And I think that's actually a draw that plays upon a continuation of what you're seeing on the internet now. I mean, how many times you look at somebody's profile picture on the internet and it doesn't really look anything like them because they're kind of creating themselves their own image. Same thing is true with the NFT avatar trend. A lot of people like to have their NFT rather than their own picture in the first place anyway. And that trend can even continue on into the Metaverse. So it really plays off that desire. And so, I also say, well, hey, nobody's going to sit here like live inside of a VR headset all day. I mean, to counter that, I think some people will. But I think for most people, they don't want to just stay patched in all day, every day. But you can still have an experience where you're sort of in and out of this Metaverse and the physical world. And also, don't forget, it's not just about virtual reality with goggles on. You could also have this with augmented reality too, where you could take, Metaverse items and actually interact with them or experience them, combined with the physical world around you right now. So we saw this with D-Race for a while, where basically like the horses that you got to D-Race with the NFTs, you could like see them in different places in real time. But other than just the use case of crypto collectibles, there are ways in which, augmented reality could actually be integrated with the Metaverse and your physical world to provide you some real benefits. So what happens when basically like some physical items start getting 3D printed and now you have like app stores that exist in Web 3.0, blockchain, Metaverse, where basically, you have augmented reality. You'll say you want to print like a side table with some 3D printer at your house. You shop for it like inside of a Metaverse, you can go see it. But then like in augmented reality, you can see how it looks in your home. And you could actually, print this thing. Now, I know you could just do that now without blockchain, but what happens when like intellectual property for these types of things becomes tokenized? Where now basically what you're doing is just buying the IP to print it. And that gets automated away with like, different Web 3.0 and Metaverse marketplaces. There's just so many ways about how we could use this technology that we're really just scratching the surface of what you can do now. And the last thing I'll say about this with the Metaverse is that it's actually really important for the Metaverse to be neutral. Okay, or at least the infrastructure of the Metaverse should be neutral. I know this is pretty controversial with Facebook talking about getting into, the Metaverse, because people say, hey, Facebook is kind of the antithesis of crypto. They're very centralized. They're sort of just jumping in, trying to control this trend early. To which I would say, well, there's not a whole lot you can really do about that other than build a compelling alternative. And I think part of that compelling alternative is actually neutrality. And that's still, even with Facebook's involvement in this future, that I still think it could be a net positive for this entire movement, because even if, what they end up creating is not in the spirit of what most people want, who are already here in blockchain and, value the values of, trustlessness, decentralization, censorship resistance, then even if a major player like that comes to space that isn't maybe compromising some of those things, they still have a ton of people that they can bring into the space that can go down the rabbit hole and actually arrive at that sweet spot of having, similar values to what we have now. Because it only takes a few experiences, where you really feel the pain of centralization to really make you want decentralization. And like I was saying before, the biggest thing that we can do is create compelling alternatives. And we have some of those things now, and they are getting better over time as, Web 3.0 blockchains become more scalable, faster, and cheaper to use. And so really, we're just scratching the surface, and I'm excited to see, where this takes off. So hope you like this video. As always, smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. There are lots of videos out so the more people can learn about blockchain. And if you're as fast at this technology as I am, you want to get your hands dirty, how can you get started today? Well, you can go to my YouTube homepage. You can find my free courses there. They're like Udemy courses, but they're totally free. And if you like those and you want to take the next step, or hey, maybe you want to take a massive shortcut entirely, I can share how to become a blockchain master step-by-step start to finish over at dappuniversity.com/bootcamp. You don't have to be an expert to get started today. I've helped people with zero coding experience become real-world blockchain developers in a matter of months. So that's all I've got. That's the next time. Thanks for watching Dapp University.